The diplomatic summit on Alisara Station had dragged on for 3 exhausting days. But Captain Elias Kane couldn't deny the electric tension that had been building between him and Ambassador Vexa throughout every tedious negotiation. Now, as the other delegates retired to their quarters, he found himself accepting her invitation for a nightcap in the observation lounge. Vexa moved with fluid grace across the room, her navy blue skin seeming to shimmer under the soft lighting, catching hints of deeper indigo in the shadows. Her blonde hair, an unexpected and striking contrast that marked her as nobility on Luminara, cascaded down her back in waves that seemed almost liquid. She wore a gossamer dress that left little to the imagination, designed to showcase rather than conceal. "Your people fascinate me, Captain," she said, pouring 2 glasses of Luminar wine, a beverage known for lowering inhibitions and heightening sensations. Her accent was musical, each word carefully pronounced. So much passion beneath such rigid control. All that fire bottled up behind your professional masks. Elias accepted the glass, their fingers brushing. Even that brief contact sent an unexpected jolt through him. "And your people are known for their openness about pleasure," he replied, maintaining eye contact. "Though I suspect there's more complexity beneath that surface than you let on." Vexa laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "Oh, you're observant. Most humans just see what they expect, the pleasure seekers from the sensual world." She moved closer, studying his face with those extraordinary eyes, large and luminous, shifting between shades of gold and amber. "But you actually listened during the negotiations. You understood our concerns weren't just about trade routes. Cultural preservation matters," Elias said softly. "Your world shouldn't have to choose between economic survival and maintaining your identity." Something shifted in Vexa's expression: surprise, appreciation, and something warmer. "This is why I invited you here," she admitted, her voice dropping to a more intimate register. "Not just for diplomatic small talk." She reached out, her fingers longer and more delicate than human ones, tracing the edge of his jaw. "On Luminara, we believe in direct communication. I've been curious about you since the first day. About your restraint, your intensity, your—" Her gaze traveled down his form appreciatively, obvious physical appeal. Elias felt heat rising in his chest. The wine was affecting him, yes, but more than that, Vexa's presence was intoxicating. "Curious how?" he asked, his own voice roughening. "About whether the legends are true," she said, stepping into his space until mere inches separated them. Her skin radiated a subtle warmth, and he could smell something like jasmine and starlight. "About human passion. Human stamina, human." She bit her lower lip, intensity in intimate matters. "Your species has quite the reputation across several systems." "Do we now?" Elias set down his glass, his hands finding her waist. Through the thin fabric, her skin felt impossibly smooth, electric against his palms. Vexa hummed, pressing closer. "I've conducted extensive research. But I've always believed in hands-on investigation." Her tendrils, delicate sensory appendages that framed her face like exotic jewelry, began to glow faintly with bioluminescence, betraying her arousal. "So tell me, Captain, would you like to help satisfy my scientific curiosity?" Elias's answer came not in words, but in action. He pulled Vexa against him, capturing her mouth in a kiss that made her gasp with surprise and delight. Her lips were softer than human ones, yielding yet responsive, and she tasted of the sweet wine and something uniquely her own, exotic and addictive. Vexa melted into him, her body conforming to his with startling flexibility. Her tendrils wrapped gently around his neck, their touch sending pleasant tingles across his skin. When they finally broke apart, both breathing harder, her eyes had darkened to a deep amber, and her skin seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. My quarters, she breathed. Unless you prefer to give the night staff something to gossip about? The walk to her suite felt like the longest journey of Elias's life. Vexa kept her hand in his, occasionally glancing back with a smile that promised everything. Her diplomatic quarters were lavish, befitting an ambassador from a wealthy world, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the nebula beyond. Furniture that seemed to shift and adapt to provide maximum comfort, and lighting that responded to mood and movement. But Elias only had eyes for Vexa. She turned to face him, reaching behind to unfasten her dress. On my world, we don't believe in false modesty, she said, letting the fabric pool at her feet. Her body was a masterpiece, curves and planes that were simultaneously familiar and beautifully alien. Her navy blue skin flawless and adorned with subtle patterns that seemed to shimmer and shift. But I find myself nervous. Isn't that fascinating? I've done this countless times, yet with you? I'm nervous too, Elias admitted, approaching her slowly. You're extraordinary, Vexa. I don't want to disappoint you or hurt you. Our biology is compatible enough, she assured him, reaching up to help him remove his uniform jacket. Her fingers worked the fastenings with surprising familiarity. I did my research, remember? Though there are differences, my nervous system is more sensitive than yours. More distributed. Touch affects me more intensely. She looked up at him through her lashes, which means I might be rather vocal. Elias felt his body respond to that promise. I'm not complaining. And there's this, Vexa continued, taking his hand and placing it on her chest, slightly left of center. Beneath his palm, he felt a strong, rapid rhythm, but it was different from a human heartbeat. 3 chambers instead of 4. My pulse points are here, here, and here. She guided his hand to different locations, her throat, her inner thigh, her lower back. Each spot radiated heat beneath his touch. And these are exceptionally sensitive. Educational and provocative, Elias murmured, letting his fingers explore those pulse points, watching fascination as her skin brightened wherever he touched. Bioluminescence spreading like ripples on water. What else should I know? Vexa shuddered under his ministrations, her breathing becoming more rapid. My tendrils, their sensory organs. Incredibly sensitive. When they glow like this, the delicate fronds were now pulsing with soft light. It means I'm aroused. When they wrap around something or someone, I can feel texture, temperature, even emotional resonance through them. Show me, Elias said, his voice low and commanding in a way that made Vexa's eyes widen with pleasure. She guided his hand to the base of one tendril, showing him how to stroke it gently. The moment he did, Vexa cried out, her whole body arching. Oh, by the light. Humans don't. That's not. Elias caught Visa as her knees weakened, sweeping her into his arms and carrying her to the bed that dominated the room. The surface responded to their weight, becoming soft and supportive, seemingly designed for exactly this purpose. I didn't realize they were that sensitive, he said, laying her down gently but keeping his body close, his hand still stroking that tendril with careful attention. Most species, don't know what to do with them, Vexa managed between gasps. Her navy blue skin was now glowing in patches, particularly across her chest and throat. They think they're just decorative or ignore them entirely. But you just instinctively knew how to. Her words dissolved into a moan as he experimented with different pressures and patterns. You're so responsive, Elias marveled, genuinely captivated by every reaction. He began exploring her body with both curiosity and growing hunger, mapping every place that made her shudder or cry out. Her neck, especially those pulse points, her shoulders, the curve of her waist, the sensitive backs of her knees. Every touch left a faint trail of light on her skin, like painting with luminescence. Vexa was writhing beneath him now, her hands clutching at his shoulders, his back, anywhere she could reach. "Please," she breathed. "Elias, I can't, you're driving me insane with anticipation." "Good," he murmured against the curve of her neck, feeling her triple pulse racing beneath his lips. "I want you mindless. I want you to feel everything so intensely you forget every other experience before this." "Arrogant human," she gasped, but there was no heat in it, only desperate desire. "Prove it. Prove those legends true." Elias kissed her deeply, swallowing her moans as he finally gave them both what they craved. The moment their bodies joined, Vexa's entire form erupted in light, every patch of bioluminescence activating at once, making her look like living starlight. She screamed his name, her back arching impossibly, her tendrils wrapping around him almost convulsively. "By the light!" she sobbed, her voice breaking. I can't breathe," Elias commanded gently, holding still despite every instinct screaming at him to move. "Breathe through it. I've got you." Vexa drew in shuddering breaths, her eyes locked on those golden depths now blown wide with overwhelmed sensation. "I've never. It shouldn't feel this intense. My species, we're supposed to be the experts. The experienced ones, but She couldn't finish the sentence because he began to move. Slowly, deliberately. Watching her face for every flicker of reaction. The next hours became a blur of sensation and discovery. Elias learned that when he hit certain angles, Vex's light pulsed in rhythm with his move. The station's artificial day-night cycle had completed nearly a full rotation, but neither Elias nor Vexa had noticed. Time seemed meaningless in the cocoon of her quarters, where every surface seemed designed to facilitate pleasure and exploration. Vexa lay trembling in Elias's arms, her navy blue skin still glowing faintly in patterns that slowly ebbed and flowed. Her blonde hair was a wild tangle across the pillows, and her tendrils draped across his chest, still pulsing gently with residual pleasure. "I can't feel my legs," she mumbled against his shoulder, her accent thicker now, words slightly slurred. "I think you broke something. Some important luminar biological system. My people are going to study me like a medical anomaly." Elias chuckled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I was gentle." "That was not gentle," Vexa protested, lifting her head to look at him with accusation and wonder mingled in her eyes. That was like being caught in a supernova. I've lost count of how many times you made me." She blushed, which on her navy blue skin manifested as deeper indigo patches. "My research didn't prepare me." "Not even close. No regrets?" Elias asked, suddenly serious, searching her face. Vexa's expression softened. "Regrets? Elias, you just ruined me for anyone else. I'm going to be comparing every future partner to this night, to you, and they're all going to fall short. Do you understand what you've done to a pleasure-focused culture's ambassador? Created a diplomatic incident?" He suggested with a grin. "Created an addiction," Vexa corrected, her tendrils tightening around him possessively. "I want more. I want to do this again. And again. I want to explore every possible variation of this sensation. I want," she paused, seeming to struggle with vulnerability. "I want you specifically. Not just human stamina or technique. You, your attention, your intensity, the way you looked at me like I was the only thing in the universe." Something shifted in Elias's chest, a feeling that went beyond physical satisfaction. "Vexa, this can't just be about the physical. If we continue this," "I know," she interrupted softly. "It changes everything. The summit, our professional relationship, potentially the alliance between our worlds. I know the complications. But Elias," she shifted to straddle him, her body pressing against his, her eyes intense. "I've had hundreds of encounters. My culture celebrates pleasure as art and communication. I know the difference between temporary satisfaction and something that resonates deeper. Her hand pressed over his heart. This resonates. You resonate. And I'm too honest to pretend otherwise. Ilias pulled her down into a kiss that was somehow more intimate than anything they'd done before, tender and searching, full of questions and possibilities. When they broke apart, Vexa was trembling again, but this time from emotion rather than physical sensation. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Not just tonight. For the rest of the summit. Maybe longer. Let's see where this goes, complications and all. Your people won't object to you taking a human lover?" Ilias asked, already knowing his answer but needing to understand the full scope. "My people celebrate connection in all its forms," Vexa assured him. "If anything, they'll be thrilled their ambassador has found someone that brings such obvious joy." Her smile turned mischievous. "Though they might want to interview you about your techniques." "For scientific purposes." "Absolutely not," Ilias laughed. "Those techniques are exclusively for you." "Possessive human," Vexa purred, clearly pleased. "I like it." The artificial dawn broke over Elisara Station, filling Vexa's quarters with soft pink and gold light that seemed to dance with the fading bioluminescence of her skin. She lay sprawled across Ilias's chest, completely boneless and content, occasionally making small sounds of satisfaction. "We should probably emerge eventually," Elias murmured, though he made no move to leave the bed. "People will notice we're both absent." "Let them notice," Vexa said dreamily. "Let them gossip and speculate. On Luminara, this would be celebrated, two representatives from different worlds finding connection. Your culture is so strange about intimacy, hiding it away like it's shameful." "Not shameful," Elias corrected gently. "Private. There's a difference." Vexa lifted her head, studying him with those remarkable eyes. "Will you regret this when you have to face your crew? When the other human delegates hear rumors?" "No," Elias said firmly. "I won't regret you, Vexa. How could I?" He traced the patterns on her shoulder, watching them shimmer. "You're brilliant, beautiful, passionate, honest. Last night was," he struggled for words, "transformative. I've never experienced anything like it." "Because of my alien biology?" she asked, a hint of insecurity creeping into her voice. "Because of you," Ilias insisted. "Your intelligence, your curiosity, your courage in being vulnerable with me." Yes, the physical aspects were incredible, mind-blowing, actually, but it was everything else that made it matter. Vexa's tendrils began to glow again, betraying her emotional response. "You're going to make me cry," she whispered. "Luminars don't cry easily, but you're too much. In a good way, I hope. In the best way." She kissed him slowly, deeply, conveying everything she felt through that connection. When she pulled back, her expression was serious. "The summit has 3 more days. After that, I return to Luminara to report on the negotiations. You return to your ship and your duties. We need to decide what this is and what we want it to be." Elias had been thinking about exactly that. "I have shore leave coming. I could request assignment to diplomatic escort duty for Luminar space. It would give us time to explore this, whatever this is, without rushing. You'd do that?" Vexa asked, hope and wonder mingling in her voice. "Potentially complicate your career trajectory to spend time with an alien you've known for less than a week?" "I've made harder decisions with less certainty," Elias said. "This feels right, Vexa. You feel right. I'm willing to see where it leads." Vexa kissed him again, then again, each kiss more desperate than the last. "Show me," she breathed against his lips. "Show me one more time before we have to face reality. Make my whole body tremble again. Make me forget everything except how you make me feel." Elias rolled them over, covering her body with his, watching her skin begin to glow in anticipation. "I can do that," he promised. "And Vexa? When I'm done, you're going to know exactly how serious I am about this. About you." What followed was slower than their frenzied encounters during the night, more tender but no less intense. Ilias worshipped every inch of her navy blue skin, memorizing her responses, learning the new language of her body's light and sound. Vexa clung to him, alternating between begging and praising, her sophisticated vocabulary abandoned in favor of raw honesty. When they finally emerged hours later, Vexa glowing softly and Elias looking thoroughly satisfied. The knowing smiles from the station staff confirmed that their privacy hadn't been as complete as they'd thought. But neither of them cared. As they walked toward the conference hall for the day's negotiations, fingers intertwined, Vexa's tendrils occasionally brushing Elias's shoulder, both understood that something fundamental had shifted. What began as curiosity and attraction had transformed into something deeper, more complex, and infinitely more precious. "Tonight?" Vexa whispered as they approached the door where they'd have to separate and return to their professional roles. "Tonight," Elias confirmed. "And every night you'll have me." Vexa's entire face lit up literally. "Then I'm the most fortunate ambassador in the galaxy," she said, "because I'm never letting you go." As they entered the conference hall, both carrying themselves with diplomatic dignity despite their obvious connection, neither noticed the pleased expression on the face of the Elisara station commander. She'd been hoping for exactly this kind of alliance, the kind built not just on political necessity but on genuine connection. Sometimes the most powerful bonds were formed not in conference rooms, but in the vulnerable honesty of shared passion. And sometimes one incredible night was just the beginning of something that could indeed reshape alliances across the stars.